On the 20 men's national team, the Flying Eagles, they are through to the quarterfinals of the Confederation of African Football on the 20 African Cup of Nations. This is after a dramatic 2-2 draw against Kenya in their final group clash, that Group B clash at the Under-20 African Cup of Nations. Now, despite defensive lapses that saw them fall behind twice, Nigeria showed resilience this time. First, through Kparobo Arierhi's equalizer in the 14th minute, and later via a coolly converted penalty by the captain of the side, Daniel Bameyi. Now, the result sees Nigeria finish second in Group B behind Morocco. Now, of course, booking their spot in the knockout round with 5 points from 3 matches. Now, they have 1 and 2 draws. They've won 1 and 2 draws. Now, while the team has shown flashes of brilliance, defensive concerns still persist as they have conceded 4 goals in the group stage and joined most among teams that qualified for the quarterfinals. Joining us in this conversation, let's get to understand how the Flying Eagles can get better in the quarterfinal stage of this competition. We have the editor of Sport Intel, Enitan Obadino. Thank you so much, Enitan, for joining me on the show.
It was a pleasure to be on the game today.
You decided to what?
I said it's a pleasure to be on the game today.
Oh, we appreciate you joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you and a honor to have an editor get to break down this conversation with us. But Enitan, I know, yes, they've booked their ticket, the Flying Eagles, at this time, but I'm a bit concerned, you know, and I think I should ask this question. Should Nigerians be concerned about that defensive vulnerabilities of the Flying Eagles, especially after conceding twice in each of their last 2 matches?
Everyone should be concerned. As a matter of fact, not just stakeholders or just our ball fans. You have to look at this team, and they inspire very little. Although what they lack in terms of full tactical ability to play their game, they put up in fighting, trying to keep up, but they've been unable to express themselves in the attacking wise. And so I think this is even beyond the issue of defense. We also have to worry when in their second game against Morocco, the best player of the game, MVP of the match, was the captain, who was a central defender. That tells you that the defense are doing more work than expected. For me, the biggest problem has to be their midfield. They've been unable to solve that problem. Between the creative part and the defensive part of the midfield, we are finding some leaks that the coaches are unable to fix. And also, you have to consider that they have followed this coach for a while. It's a bit surprising seeing his team play this way. You have to look at it. We watched the Academy Warriors, Federations Cup champion for last year, and of course playing in the league, MPFL this season, and they play some games that are so sweet to the eyes. But this has not been reflected in the Flying Eagles so far. They are just usually trying to just grab the points and pick up the qualification for the quarterfinal. The quarterfinal is a one-off game. Let's see what will happen.
Yes, I'm waiting to see, because I really want to see how they get to change their gameplay in the quarterfinal. Every single position from this Flying Eagles, they deserve a little bit of tweak, I must say. But let me ask you if the midfield or the attacking transition, did they show enough quality to suggest that the Flying Eagles can go deeper in this competition?
If I think it through the 3 games, the coach has tried to tweak the team depending on the opponent in front of him. Against Tunisia, the midfield did not actually provide enough for the attacker. So the way the goal came, you have to see somebody running from the midfield to pick up a pass from the fullback with the striker Arierhi pulling the defender for us to get the only goal of that game against Tunisia. And of course, the defense kept the goalkeeper was Hakot was superb in that game against Tunisia. Against Morocco, the coach decided to go all defensive. He removed his main attacker, Kparobo Arierhi, out of that game while settling for trying to cut out the Moroccans. So personally, for me, I'm concluding that he does not believe enough in his attacking or midfield to be able to provide and stand toe-to-toe with the Moroccans. So he was happy with that draw against Morocco. Against Kenya, arguably a slippery team in that group. They are the whipping boys of that team. Also, they can be very difficult to beat on their day, and which was what we saw in that game, that 2-2 draw. The fullbacks were fully exposed. The Kenyan wingers took them to the cleaners every time they went up against them, except for Kparobo, who tried to step up in terms of keeping the defensive shape. But we were all over the place. We tried as much as possible to the trick I expected. The coach attempted. He tried to slow down the game. We could not keep running with the Kenyans. They were running at us consistently, and at some point, as the Flying Eagles slowed down the game. But what worked for them in that game that made them escape a loss was basically their quick reaction to it every time they considered the goal. That's what I them in terms of their fighting spirit and their psychological state. But in terms of overall execution of the game, we expect a lot of tricks. I'm hoping to see a more balanced midfield that can create. Kparobo has the ability to convert, even have chances when he gets enough of those services, which is what we saw in their equalizer, and almost got us ahead with another header in that game. So if he gets enough chances, we might not need to be running after games. We might be getting the goals as much, but Bidemi Amole, Jepta on the wing. I've seen him try to put Jepta on both right and left flank. He was freely roaming in that game against Kenya, but he was not effective enough. Divine Olise, which used to be the creative outlet for that team, also has not really been able to put his feet right with the right practice in the game.
Indeed, and I know that there are some tactical decisions that Aliyu Zuberi has been making that has been drawing a lot of eyebrows. Like, we've had a lot of complaints from the tactical decision, even his substitutions too. When Arierhi was not put into the match, the one before that of Kenya, a lot of people complained. But anytime, I would really love to feel your pulse right now. Do we say Coach Zuberi is managing what appears to be one of the most challenging periods of Nigerian football history? Because you know how it has been so far with Nigerian teams on the continental stage.
Absolutely. In terms of talent level, this is one of the lowest I've seen in a while. I'm going to be honest. These Flying Eagles. And of course, you have to understand it's a softball situation in a way. They are missing some of their top talents whose club did not release. And one of them, chief most, has to be Daniel Daga. Daniel Daga was part of the previous under-20, still qualifies to be part of this under-20. But of course, he has since moved from Europe, and they are unable to get him to play. He brings a lot of skill and command into that midfield, and this is what he's been missing in this squad. Somebody who owns the midfield, either an attacking midfielder or a central midfielder who can control, who can break plays from the opponent, and then launches the team forward with that kind of confidence. Just like I said earlier, every Kenyans ran at us in that game. They looked like they were going to score. We were basically being saved by last-minute tackles by the central defenders, and of course, the goalkeeper coming up strong. Akot has been a revelation. That's about Kparobo in the striking position, Akot in the goalkeeping position are two of the top talents I can pick out of that team. Every other person has been below average for me in terms of delivery. Especially, I expected of Clinton Jepta, the Eyimba winger, who sometimes plays in the midfield, to be able to be another effective creative channel from the flank. But he has not really lived up to that form we saw that he gave at the WAFU B Championship, which the team won. It was a combination of him and Kparobo that gave us all the goals in difficult games at that WAFU Championship that qualified for them for the AFCON on the 20.
All right, Enito. Okay, Enito.
He has been missing in a way, and that's why the attack has been dull in a way, because the creative is not clicking.
Okay, you've been talking about these players and those that have really stood out for you. But we understand that Super Eagles coach, Eric Shell, he is present in Egypt there, and of course joined them in the training and watched that match against Kenya. This is Nigeria, where I know transition is not something we're very used to, moving wonderful players from the Flying Eagles to the Super Eagles, the senior national team. You've mentioned some players and how they really stood out for you. Do you think any of them can get a nod, maybe to the Super Eagles, now that we have the Unity Cup and we have the World Cup ticket at hand?
I don't think we can. We have one or two talent that can understudy, and of course maybe they can surprise us at the end of the day. If a Daga was in this team, I'll put the somebody that yes, Daga can walk into the Super Eagles Unity Cup squad, so that we can see how replacing at that senior level. He's playing in Europe already, had a fantastic debut in the Norwegian League, and also played in the Europa Conference League, but he's not in this team. If I'm to pick the two, basically I'll stick with the two I mentioned earlier. That's the goalkeeper. We know we have a lot of issues with our goalkeeping, but even despite the performance of the current goalkeeper, we are not truly secured. So we need to be able to draft in a younger goalkeeper that will grow with the team, gather the experience on time, and will be ready to take over and not wait for a savior in between when we run into goalkeeping crisis. I also look at I mentioned Kparobo, but that's the most difficult position for any talented player to be in when you are looking to migrate into the Super Eagles. We have an avalanche and over a flood of strikers that we are not even invited into the national team. But the young man has shown some high level of intelligence that I think, being an understudy every now and then, will do him some form of good. So far, so good. Those are the two players I can vouch for that can migrate. And like you rightly pointed out, we've since 2015 under-17 squad, we've struggled to migrate players into the Super Eagles from our junior team. Our last up was that 2015 squad. We are seeing bits and pieces. I expected that the last under-20 squad that Coach Ladan Bosso took to the World Under-20 Championship in Argentina, where they defeated Argentina in the second round moving forward. I saw some incredible talent, especially in the midfield. I was just talking to someone about it the other day. Inadi, of course, to Milan youth player that was part of that team. Those were top talents alongside that guy. They controlled the midfield at that championship, and Nigeria showed a lot of strength that I thought would be. But the major problem you will see is the fact that we do not create a deliberate. We are not deliberate at creating a now for them to migrate. No monitoring, no looking out for them, and that regularly with for that migration to happen.
Okay, we'll be waiting, looking to see what Eric Shell will be able to bring up from this visit and the fact that he is monitoring this team in Egypt. Thank you so much, Enitan Obadino. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and share your wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to matters that has to do with the national team. We appreciate your time. Please have a lovely day.